The Earth does not simply tremble, it screams from an unbearable pain. Imagine a place where the very concept of solid ground is a deadly illusion. A thin crust hiding an ocean of liquid fire ready to erupt at any second. We are not on the set of a Hollywood disaster film, nor on the unstable surface of a Jovian moon. We're in the very heart of our own world, in the cradle of humanity. East Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Here, right now, in real time, a geological event of planetary scale is unfolding, one that will forever and irreversibly change the map of the world we have known since childhood. We are accustomed to thinking of continents as eternal, unshakable monoliths of granite, destined to outlive us, our children, and our grandchildren. We look at a globe and see Africa as a single, massive, indestructible landmass. But this is a lie, a temporary stage set. Africa is dying. And simultaneously, in agony, steam, and fire, something new is being born. The continent is being torn asunder by a force equal to the detonation of millions of nuclear bombs, an explosion stretched out across geologic time. In March of 2018, apocalyptic images from Kenya's Rift Valley near Nairobi circled the globe. After a season of abnormally heavy rains, the Earth, without warning, split open. A gargantuan fissure, several kilometers long, 20 meters wide, and as deep as a 5-story building, slashed the busy, strategic Mai Mahiu highway in two. Homes of local residents collapsed into the abyss, swallowed by the earth along with furniture and memories. In a single night, families were divided by a chasm that opened in the middle of their living rooms. People fled in panic, saving their children and their livestock, unable to comprehend what was happening, believing the biblical end of days had finally come. Skeptics, government officials, and road authorities attempted to calm the population. It was merely soil erosion, they claimed, poor drainage. Water had simply washed away the volcanic ash. But geologists studying satellite imagery and radar data knew the terrifying truth. The rain was only a catalyst. It had merely washed the makeup from the face of the planet, stripping away the top layer of dust and soil to reveal a deep, festering wound that had been hiding for millions of years. A wound that was now beginning to open. This is the East African Rift System, the Great Rift. A scar on the face of the Earth visible from the Moon. It is the place where our planet, with a manic persistence, is trying to tear itself to pieces. The forces that gave birth to our world have not ceased their work. They are patient, relentless, and utterly indifferent to the fleeting civilizations that rise and fall upon the surface. What we witness is not an end, but a violent and protracted beginning. The slow, agonizing birth of a new ocean on a timescale that renders human existence a mere blink of an eye. Black lava boils mere feet from where we stand. Here, the planet's crust is tearing itself apart. Using data from radar interferometry, we can now track the agonizing crawl of lithospheric plates with millimeter precision. We can see the impossible made real. In the heart of a waterless salt desert, hundreds of kilometers from any coast, superheated ocean water begins to erupt from the Earth, a premonition of a flood on a geological scale. This is the story of the slowest, most inevitable, and most grandiose catastrophe in our planet's history. This is the birth of the 8th continent. Our investigation begins not in the verdant lands to the south, but far to the north, in a place geophysicists call the cruelest crucible of creation, or more simply, hell on earth. The Afar Depression, Ethiopia. A triangle of death at the junction of Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Djibouti. It is one of the most hostile environments on the planet. Here, the air temperature regularly exceeds 50 degrees Celsius in a shade that does not exist. The ground is a 2-kilometer thick crust of salt, interspersed with fields of frozen basaltic lava, its edges as sharp as a razor, shredding the boots of the unwary. It was here, in September of 2005, that an event occurred which forced geologists from Oxford, Paris, and Addis Ababa to abandon their lecterns and fly into the furnace. In the span of a single week, the ground in the Afar Desert near the Dabahu volcano ripped open. A gigantic fissure formed, 60 kilometers long and up to 8 kilometers wide. Tectonic movements of this magnitude are meant to take centuries, even millennia, advancing by millimeters per year. Here, it happened in an instant, as if an unseen giant had unzipped the very skin of the planet. The local Afar nomads, a people accustomed to extreme hardship, spoke in horror of a monstrous rumble that emanated from the bowels of the earth, a vibration so deep it shook their bones and felled their camels. They described pillars of acrid yellow smoke erupting from the new chasm, blotting out the sun, turning day into night. The stench of sulfur choked all living things, and at night the sky glowed a bloody red from the open fire below. Scientists arriving with seismometers could not believe their instruments. The graphs went wild, registering hundreds of tremors a day. Satellite radar, measuring the deformation from space, revealed that the ground had not just cracked horizontally, it had subsided vertically by several meters. This was not a simple tectonic fault. This was a dike intrusion of magma on a colossal scale. A vast tongue of molten rock, 2.5 cubic kilometers in volume, enough to fill 1,000 great pyramids, had risen from the mantle. It tore through the earth, violently shoving the continental plates apart. It was a process identical to the one that unfolds in the crushing darkness of the deep ocean floor along the mid-ocean ridges where new worlds are forged. We are not standing on solid ground. We are adrift on a fractured shell, floating on a sea of fire. The planet is not a static stage for our brief existence, but a living, violent entity, constantly remaking its raw, elemental power that builds worlds, a power that operates on a timescale that renders our own history to but a flicker in the deep, dark expanse of geologic time. Deep beneath the Atlantic, along the seams of the mid-ocean ridges, new crust is born in darkness. For eons, this process remained hidden from human eyes, a secret kept by the crushing pressure of the abyss. But here, in the Afar Depression of Ethiopia, the secret came ashore. On a September day in 2005, the scientific world was forced to confront a staggering truth. Here, on what appeared to be solid ground, a continent was tearing itself apart in plain sight. The Afar, geologically speaking, is no longer land. It is the floor of a newborn ocean, awaiting only the arrival of the water. And the water is at its doorstep. The Red Sea, held back by a fragile barricade of volcanic hills, the Danakil Alps, is poised to breach this natural dam. It will inundate the desert, granting Ethiopia a new coastline and cleaving the Horn of Africa into a colossal island. To understand why a continent cracks at the seams, we must journey deep into the earth. 2,900 kilometers down, at the boundary between the mantle and the core, lies one of the great enigmas of modern geophysics, a large, low shear velocity province. Scientists call it the African Superplume. Imagine a monstrous plume of superheated viscous rock rising from the very heart of the planet. It is a pillar of immense heat, thousands of kilometers in diameter, striking the underside of Earth's rigid cirque. Heated from below, the crust softens, becoming pliable, losing its strength. The immense pressure forces it to bulge upward into a vast dome. This is the engine that lifted the Ethiopian and Kenyan highlands, bloating Africa from within and raising the plateau 2 to 3 kilometers above the sea. Eventually, the crust, stretched to its absolute limit, ruptures. The break occurs at a precise location known as the Afar Triple Junction, the meeting point of 3 tectonic plates. First, the Nubian plate, which carries most of Africa. Second, the Somali plate, carrying East Africa, now drifting away. And third, the Arabian plate. They are not merely touching, they are fleeing from one. The Arabian plate has already torn free, grinding northward into Eurasia, buckling the crust to form the Zagros Mountains and unleashing deadly earthquakes upon Turkey. The Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden are the fresh scars of this continental divorce. Now the separation between the Nubian and Somali plates begins in earnest. They are pulling apart at a rate of 6 to 7 millimeters per year. This seems infinitesimal, the speed at which a human fingernail grows. But in the theater of geology, this is a sprint. In 1 million years, it will create 7 kilometers of new land. In 10 million years, a 70-kilometer wide sea. This wound, the East African Rift Valley, is a 6,000-kilometer scar running down half the continent, a testament to the slow, inexorable power that shapes worlds. It reminds us that the ground beneath our feet is not a permanent fixture, but a fleeting arrangement in the deep and patient drama of the earth. It stretches from Kenya and Uganda through Rwanda, Burundi and Tanzania, cleaving the land south to Mozambique. This is no simple fracture. It is an open wound on the body of the planet, a wound that is proving fatal for a continent. The rift is not a single clean break. It has split into 2 great arms, Embra. The eastern branch, the Gregory Rift, carves its way through Kenya and Tanzania. This is a realm of fire. Volcanoes are numerous here, but the lakes they create are shallow and caustic. The very ground seethes. To the west lies the Albertine Rift, tracing the borders of Congo, Uganda and Rwanda. This is a realm of water and depth. Volcanoes are scarce, but here lie the continent's deepest lakes and its highest mountains, the Ruwenzori, the legendary Mountains of the Moon. Here the crust does not melt, it shatters with a monstrous crunch, unleashing powerful earthquakes without the release of lava. These 2 branches work in horrifying synchrony, sawing off a slice of Africa from both sides. For a rift is more than a mechanical tear. It is a doorway, an invitation for magma to rise from the depths. All along its length, a chain who live on their slopes into a false sense of security. Others are awake and ready to kill. The legendary Mount Kilimanjaro, Africa's highest point, the great caldera of Ngorongoro, all are children of the rift. But the strangest, most alien and most dangerous of them all is Doinyo Lengai in Tanzania. In the Maasai language, its name means the Mountain of God. It is a geological anomaly, the only active volcano of its kind on Earth, erupting not silicate lava, but a substance known as natrocarbonatite. It does not bleed the familiar viscous red of basalt. Instead, it flot. And it is cold. Its temperature is a mere 500 to 600 degrees Celsius. Ordinary lava burns at over 1,100. It pours down the mountainside with. But the most astonishing event happens next. As this black river cools, it reacts with the moisture in the air and turns white. The landscape is transformed into a bizarre, snow-covered desert in the heart of the tropics. The uniqueness of Doinyo Lengai, however, is a sign of a profound danger. Its unusual chemistry is a message written in stone and fire. It speaks of magma that has come from an incredible depth, directly from the mantle, bypassing the usual chambers in the crust. It is direct proof that here, the continent has been burned through to its very foundation. This is an open channel to the heart of the planet. Far to the west, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, stands another monster, Nyiragongo, a volcano cursed with the world's largest and fastest-flowing permanent lava lake. In 2002, and again in 2021, it unleashed its fury on the city of Goma, destroying thousands of homes and forcing 500,000 people to flee. The lava of Nyiragongo is exceptionally fluid, a torrent of liquid rock with one purpose. The tearing of a continent is a process measured in eons, a force indifferent to the lives unfolding upon its surface. We are but fleeting observers to the agonizing birth of a new ocean and the slow, inexorable death of an ancient land. It is the sniper rifle of geology, aimed at a city of millions. A force that changes more than just earth and fire. It changes the water. It poisons it. Along the valley of the Great Rift lies a chain of immense African lakes. Victoria, Tanganyika, Nyasa, Malawi. These are among the deepest basins of water in the world. Lake Tanganyika plunges 1.5 kilometers into the abyss. This is no simple pit carved by a river. It is a tectonic collapse of the Earth's crust, filled over millennia by the rains. Its floor lies 600 meters below sea level. But there are other lakes, killer lakes. Lake Kivu, on the border of Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, is one of the most picturesque places in Africa. Emerald water, green rolling hills, resorts and hotels. But beneath this idyllic surface, a bomb is ticking. In its depths, trapped by the immense pressure of the water above, are unimaginable volumes of dissolved gas. 60 cubic kilometers of methane, 300 cubic kilometers of carbon dioxide. They seep constantly from magmatic fissures in the rift floor. Scientists call it a limnological bomb. Should a powerful volcanic eruption occur within the lake, or a massive earthquake strike the region, the layers of water could violently overturn. The gas, held in check by the pressure of the deep, would instantly flash into a single colossal cloud. This has happened before on a smaller scale. In 1986, at Lake Nyos in Cameroon, also a volcanic crater, just such a limnological eruption occurred. An invisible cloud of carbon dioxide, without color or scent, heavier than air, silently blanketed the surrounding valleys as people slept. 1,700 people died. They simply never woke up. Livestock perished in the fields. Birds fell lifeless from the trees. Lake Kivu is thousands of times larger and more dangerous than Nyos. 2 million people live on its shores. The rift does not merely tear the earth apart physically. It creates a chemical weapon of mass destruction waiting just beneath their feet. Scientists are in a race against time, attempting to degas the lake by harvesting its methane for power plants. It is a contest where the stakes are the lives of millions. Elsewhere, the rift creates landscapes worthy of a surrealist painting. Lake Natron in Tanzania, Another of its creations is the most alkaline lake in the world. Its pH can reach 10.5, nearly that of ammonia. The water, stained blood red by bacteria, can reach temperatures of 60 degrees Celsius. Animals that die in its caustic embrace do not decompose. They calcify. They are transformed into salt-encrusted statues, mummies preserved for an eternity. This brings us back to the fissure that opened in Kenya in 2018. The crack at Mai Mahiu became a stark symbol of modern civilization's vulnerability. The authorities rushed to fill the chasm with concrete, stone, and soil to reopen a vital transport corridor. But nature cannot be bribed. Within a week, the concrete had cracked. The asphalt had split apart once more. We build our world on a surface we believe to be solid, permanent. But the rift is a constant reminder that the ground beneath our feet is not a foundation. It is a membrane, thin and temporary, stretched over a slow, inexorable fire. A world not given, but merely borrowed from the deep and patient forces that will, one day, claim it back. Geologist David Adede, surveying the fracture, delivered his assessment with brutal clarity. You cannot hold a continent together with a band-aid. You are fighting plate tectonics with a bucket of cement. It is a war we are destined to lose. The fissure tore through the very foundations of homes. A family awoke in the dead of night to the sound of splintering walls, only to watch half their kitchen be swallowed into darkness. Farmers lost livestock, which vanished into narrow, deep crevices masked by the tall grass. But the true, terrifying scale of this event is revealed not to the naked eye, but to the unblinking gaze of modern satellite. The Kenyan rift is no single, clean line that can be fenced off. It is a vast network of microfractures, a deformation zone stretching for tens of kilometers. Here the ground is sinking, slowly but inexorably. The standard gauge railway, the pride of the Kenyan economy, built on foreign loans, runs directly across this zone. Engineers were forced to construct it on towering viaducts to compensate for the shifting earth. Yet no one can know if the concrete pillars will endure when the movement inevitably accelerates. What will this group feature with chilling precision? The first stage, the inundation of the Afar Triangle. This will be the initial cataclysm, and geologically speaking, it is imminent, perhaps only a few hundred or a few thousand years away. Eritrea and Djibouti will be severed from the mainland. The Red Sea will breach its volcanic dams, surging to meet the Gulf of Aden in a wide new strait. The famed Doinyo Depression, a salt-encrusted floor of a vanished sea, will become a seabed once more, where coral reefs will one day grow over pillars of salt. The second stage, the flooding of the Rift Valley itself. The new sea will push south, consuming the Great Lakes. Turkana, Baringo, Bogoria, Naivasha, this chain of inland waters will merge into a single, long, narrow and deep marine channel, an echo of the Red Sea today. The third stage, total isolation. The eastern portion of Africa will break away completely. Between the ancient Nubian plate and the new Somali plate, an ocean will be born. The port city of Mombasa will become an island metropolis. The capital, Nairobi, will find itself on the coast of a new sea. The Somali plate, carrying with it Somalia, half of Ethiopia, and great portions of Kenya and Tanzania, will begin its slow, majestic drift into the Indian Ocean. A new continent will appear, a colossal island 10 times the size of Madagascar. This event will not be contained. It will rewrite the climate of the entire planet. Ocean currents that regulates will shift their ancient paths. The lush rainforests of the Congo Basin, starved of the easterly winds that carry moisture, could wither and dry. Savannas may bloom into forests or collapse into desert. For the life that endures, it will be the planet's most profound evolutionary experiment. A violent, creative act on a scale beyond human comprehension. A reminder that the ground beneath our feet is not a constant, but a promise waiting to be broken. Isolation will give birth to new species of animal and plant. As on Madagascar or in Australia, on the future island of East Africa, evolution will forge its own unique, unpredictable path. But proof of a cataclysm can be touched, can be seen today. There is no need to wait millions of years. In the Danakil Desert, at the deepest point of the Afar Depression, more than 100 meters below sea level, scientists find strange crystals. This is not mere rock salt, this is ocean salt. Isotopic analysis is unequivocal. This salt formed from seawater that flooded this basin in the distant past, evaporating and leaving its ghost behind. The ocean has been here before, and it will return. Here the very ground breathes, a simultaneous exhalation of ocean and magma. The geothermal springs of Dalal are the most vibrant, beautiful, and lethal place on Earth. It is a landscape that belongs on Io, a moon of Jupiter, or on the surface of Venus. Yellow, poison green, and orange lakes of boiling acid. Geysers erupting with superheated brine. Fungi and terraces sculpted from salt. But beneath this surreal, acidic beauty lies an inexorable geophysical fact. The Earth's crust here has thinned to a critical limit. Normally, the continental crust is a bulwark 30 to 40 kilometers thick. Here, in the Afar, it is less than 20 kilometers. In some places, beneath the volcanoes, it dwindles to a mere 5 kilometers. This is no longer a continent. It is almost oceanic crust. The magma is waiting at the threshold. We are walking on a fragile shell suspended over an inferno. In 2005, during the Dabahu seismic crisis, satellites recorded the ground swelling 2 meters in the volcanic zone and then abruptly falling. Magma squeezed pressure subsided. Here, the very earth is elastic. And here, we arrive at the most astonishing philosophical truth. The rift does not merely tear continents asunder, it creates us. It was here, in the East African Rift Valley, in the Olduvai Gorge and the Lake Turkana Basin, that the remains of our most ancient ancestors were found. Lucy, the Australopithecus afarensis, the Turkana boy, Homo habilis. Anthropologists believe it was the rift itself that forged Homo sapiens. How? The fault lines sculpted a unique and violent tapestry of landscapes, high mountains, deep valleys, lakes and volcanoes. The wall of the rift blocked the moist winds, desiccating the jungles and transforming them into savanna. This landscape was in constant flux. Forest, then savanna. Desert, then a basin of water. Dry dust, then fertile mud. A relentless climatic pendulum. Our primate ancestors living here were thrust into a theater of extreme instability. To survive, they had to adapt faster than any creature before them. They were compelled to become intelligent. They were forced to stand on 2 legs, to see over the tall savanna grasses that had replaced the safety of the forest canopy. They were forced to free their hands, to take hold of a stone. In a world of shifting chaos, survival demanded a new kind of mind, a mind forced to remember the location of water in a landscape tearing itself apart. The Great Rift Valley. This was the geological catastrophe that became the crucible of our evolution. It compelled the ape to become human. We are the children of this fracture. And now, millions of years later, the same tectonic forces that served as our geological parent continue their relentless work, threatening to shatter the very civilization they helped create. But there is another side to this story. Where the Earth's crust is thin and its inner heat lies close to the surface, a new possibility emerges. In Kenya and Ethiopia, humanity has learned to harness the power of the rift for its own benefit. The Olkaria geothermal station in Kenya, nestled within the aptly named Hell's Gate National Park, represents the future of energy. Here, wells are drilled 3 kilometers deep, directly into the fracture zone. They tap into superheated steam under immense pressure, which roars to the surface to drive turbines. Today, Kenya derives nearly half of its electricity from the power of its volcanoes. It is clean, endless, renewable energy. The very rift that could destroy the country now nourishes it with light. Scientists believe the energy potential of the rift is colossal, enough to illuminate the entire African continent. A promise of a brighter future, if only humanity can seize it before the ground gives way. Geologists do not only watch, they listen. The seismic hum of the rift is a constant ambient noise, the sound of rock breaking under unimaginable strain. In the Ruwenzori, the mountains of the moon, this sound is sometimes audible even without instruments. The local people call it the voice of spirits. In reality, it is the sound of gargantuan blocks of the Earth's crust grinding against one another as they descend. It is the groaning of a planetary mechanism. A study in 2024 revealed that microfractures emit ultra-low frequencies just before they expand. Scientists are now racing to create an early warning system based on this whisper from the deep Earth, a way to hear the planet's intent. What is happening in Africa is a stark and visceral reminder, one that tolerates no argument. We live on a dynamic, restless, living world. The ground beneath our feet is not solid. It is a raft drifting on an ocean of magma. The continents themselves are temporary arrangements, pieces of a puzzle in a constant state of reassembly. The supercontinent of Pangaea broke apart. Gondwana followed. And now, before our very eyes, Africa is sundering. For a geologist, it is a breathtaking, incredible process. The birth of an ocean, broadcast in real time. But for the people of Kenya, Ethiopia, and Tanzania, this geological marvel is a daily tragedy. It is the crack in the wall of a family home, the destroyed road that cuts a village off from a hospital. It is the fear of a tomorrow when the Earth might simply open up and swallow a school or a marketplace. The final separation will take millions of years. We will not see it. Our children will not see it. But slow, by the measure of geology, does not mean serene for humanity. The process is happening now. A quiet violence, measured in millimeters per year, reminding us that we are merely tenants on a planet that is, and always will be, a work in progress. The tremors will intensify. Volcanoes, long believed dormant, will stir from their slumber. Fissures will yawn open, swallowing the infrastructure of our modern world. Lakes will exhale invisible, lethal clouds. A continent groans. Deep beneath the sun-scorched Earth, the lithospheric plates are diverging, pulled apart by a relentless planetary force. In this primordial battle of stone and fire, humanity is but a fleeting witness, a speck of dust perched on the edge of the abyss. We cannot halt this movement. We cannot mend the fracture. Our only role is to observe, to study, to adapt, and to stand in awe of the power of a world remaking itself, utterly indifferent to our consent. This is the shoreline of a future ocean, forming in the very heart of Africa. The next time you gaze upon a map of the continent, commit its familiar shape to memory. For the Africa you see is already a relic. The process has begun, and it is irreversible. We are merely tenants on a living planet, a world that follows its own ancient schedule of creation and destruction. The map is not static. It is a single frame in a story told over eons, and a new chapter is being written not in ink, but in magma and stone.